we're constantly informed that there's a health crisis, that there's an economic or financial crisis, and you hear all the scaremongering tactics and everything that's going wrong on the planet and, in each specific country. And obviously we've just come out of a pandemic roughly 5 years ago. But I'll tell you what, the real pandemic is weak men. The real pandemic is weak men. And outside of the manosphere, outside of a few content creators, no one genuinely speaks about what is looming for us. What does the future look like for men? Because it's not a position where, it's advantageous for women. If anything, it swings both ways. When women suffer, that has a direct impact on men and vice versa. This affects both genders. This was never a war in the first place. Please don't misunderstand. As men, we have to love women. We should love women. We always should. That's why I despise things like misogyny and narcissism, and that's never what this channel is about. My purpose is A, to document my journey, but 2, to inspire other young men, because when you become the best version of yourself, that also brings out the best in women as well, and it's always a win-win situation. But where did it all go wrong? When you see, and I've got a few things written down here because, gentlemen, a lot of this has to be mentioned in depth. Where did it begin? And look, I don't have all the answers, even to some of the questions that might be rhetorical or, I'm genuinely posing some questions to you guys, and please do answer this in the comment section below. Where did this even begin? Because look, we've all heard the rhetoric that, the elites, and look, I hate the term the matrix because it's been overused and I'm not part of that at all. It's a load of nonsense. But here's the situation. We all know, and we've all heard the rhetoric, that they want weak men. Why do they want feminine weak men? They want feminine and weak men so they're able to manipulate and control us in the long term. That makes perfect sense to me. But where did this all begin? And why is this continuing on the trend? Because if that's common knowledge, if that's well known within the populace, then why are we carrying on this trajectory? Have you ever wondered why things like pornography, things like social media, things like Instagram, it's not regulated, it's free of charge, it's so easy to access, things like OnlyFans platform, none of it is regulated. An 8-year-old child with a phone can subscribe for absolute peanuts, £3 to £4 a month. Yet when it comes to other things, they'll say within a manosphere, certain people, a contingent of the population, will start saying toxic masculinity and, some of your views are quite derogatory. Look, everyone is entitled to their own opinion. There is no such thing as good or bad or right or wrong. It's your opinion. You are absolutely entitled to it. But to me, it's hypocritical when you want to come for the manosphere and say that self-development, some of the messaging is too harsh and your views might be a bit extreme. But then on the same breath, you've got things like OnlyFans platforms that are so easily accessible for any child, any little boy. How do you think that is healthy? How do you think that is conducive for their future? And then you wonder why they've got issues with wiring. You wonder why they have issues with dopamine. You wonder why they're constantly on edge, constantly anxious when they reach adulthood. It's not rocket science. It's not a surprise to me. And the constant and sheer promotion of things like pornography. The fact that, and it wasn't until recently, for years and years, you could go on to that specific website and it didn't even ask if you were 18 plus. Can you imagine? Imagine being a 7-year-old boy, because trust me, it's not that extreme. There are little kids these days that are actually consuming this absolute filth. And you can imagine the long-term ramifications that can have in decades to come. It doesn't even ask 18 plus, not until recently, I don't think. Not until recently. It literally never even asked if you were 18 plus. Yet the governments never did anything about it. World Health Organization, allegedly, they're so keen on our healths. No one mentioned it at all. And then you go on Google and the sheer audacity, things like healthline.com and different websites. You go on the first tab of Google, masturbation is healthy. It's constantly promoted. It's not like you can even avoid this. I literally make videos on how to overcome lust. That shouldn't even be a topic. I shouldn't have to make a video, but I understand your pain because I've gone through it. I understand, I empathize. I mean, why is it that when I go on the explore page on Instagram, even though I haven't selected it and I've instructed the algorithm that I only enjoy certain bits of content, I'm shoved with women in bikinis in my face, which is basically soft porn. All you can see, right, you have a beautiful lady, obviously shaped in like an hourglass shape, clearly in good shape, a model, and she's in the bikini, fine. But why is that propagated? Why is that thrown into my face when I haven't asked for it? It's so hard to avoid. You watch music videos and it's ladies and women, promiscuous women just shaking their bumps left, right and centre. You hear lyrics, Cardi B, Nicki Minaj, pussy this, lay on this, bend over here. It's absolutely derogatory. Nothing is said about that. Apparently that's absolutely fine. That's liberalism and feminism, and that's beautiful. That's perfectly fine, apparently. But then the minute you say that men need to be masculine, that men need to be mentally stronger, all of a sudden you're toxic. I mean, where did this even begin? That's the conversation that we need to be having here. Where did this even begin? Why is it so easy for a child to subscribe to OnlyFans? Why? Why is it so easy for them to access? Have you ever wondered why pornography, social media, have you ever wondered why these platforms are free? When did this start? Why did this start? That is the $1 million question. And what has this culminated into? Now, I made a video a few weeks ago, and I believe it was titled something like 66% of men aged 18 to 30 are single. That is staggering. That is absolutely astounding. That is so profound on so many levels. Now, I knew even before reading that statistic that the stats would be relatively high. I didn't think it would be that bad. I thought maybe the 30 to 40% range. But when you actually consider it, it makes total sense. It makes total sense. Because from when they're a child, they have access to pornography, they have access to social media, they're a lot more antisocial, they don't socialise like they used to. Things like anxiety, depression, they start skyrocketing. And they're not able to interact with, forget the opposite sex, they're not able to interact with other people. So what has this culminated? It forces them to be single. Because you have the ease of comfort, you have the ease of pornography. There's no point. There's no risk of rejection when it comes to these things. You're never going to get rejected. There's a 0% chance. If I go out there and I approach a woman, it's not a guarantee she's going to give me her number. It's not a guarantee that I'm going to get a date. Because, and obviously the brain is always going to pick the easy option. It's how the human brain is wired. You're always going to go for the safe option. You're going to be risk averse. So why would I risk going out to approach a woman where there's a chance that I'm going to get rejected, when I can just come home, open up Google and go on the absolute filth? I mean, it just makes perfect sense. And that's why it's culminated into men becoming single, because it's the easy option. They haven't been trained. They don't understand the error of their ways. And this is frightening, because I don't think it's going to stop here. I personally don't think it's going to stop here. And as I alluded to, weak men is the real pandemic. That is the epidemic here. Weak men is the real pandemic, because it's only going to get worse. I don't see a scenario, I don't see a situation where this progresses anytime soon. I genuinely think that we have to take a step back in order to essentially reverse back to normality. That is my honest opinion. I could be wrong, but I look at a statistic like this: 66% of men aged between 18 to 30 are single. It's frightening. It's frightening. Now, of course, some of the positives of that is you would like to think that they found their calling, and you know, they've ascertained their purpose, and they're dedicated to their craft, and they're working very hard. And look, a percentage of that, I'm sure they are. But let's be honest. Let's be honest. Most men within that statistic would absolutely love to be in a relationship, but they can't get one. Why? You have to ask why. What's the wiring process gone wrong up here? What's gone wrong? It's almost like this has been done by design. It's almost like this has been engineered. Must be. This is not normal. And even a stat like that, it's not propagated. That's not shoved in your face. You'll never see you won't see that stat in the mainstream media. Oh, no. You won't see that. You have to fully dig for this. I had to dig for this statistic. It doesn't pop up in your face. And you know it doesn't pop up in your face because this is probably the first time you've heard this statistic. It's a sad indictment. And for me, it's only going to get worse. It's almost like they're trying to hide this from you. Oh, masturbation is healthy. You should masturbate 3 to 4 times a day. It prevents prostate cancer. You carry on. Come on. Are you going to let the wall be pulled over your eyes once again? It's already been pulled over a few times. It's pulled over me. Are you going to allow them to take you for a fool? Take you for a mug once more? I mean, the only solution I can offer here is what I've been saying on a consistent basis. It's doing your best to find out what your purpose is. Look, don't jump straight into a relationship for the sake of it. If you're in one, fantastic. That's obviously beneficial for you and beneficial for her. But if you're not in one, are you in a position to be in one? Have you got good employment? Are you studying? Are you doing something where you're providing value, providing service? Are you exercising on a regular basis? Are you indulging in good habits? Have you eradicated bad habits? If the answer to those questions is yes, then by all means. But I know that for a lot of us, it's not. And so there's a lot of work that needs to be done. But I can assure you this, the only way to overcome that damning statistic and for you to be not part of that and for you to be one of the men that ends up succeeding, it's continuing on your journey, ensuring that you're on your right path, that you're on the right path and doing the correct things. As I mentioned before, doing the same 3 to 4 things and non-negotiables every single day without fail, regardless of your feelings, on a consistent basis, and you'll achieve your desired outcome. That is the only solution to any of this, because this is frightening. And that's why, if you've noticed, because there's actually certain content creators that will absolutely lambast and bash people for not being able to quit masturbation, etc. The reason why I don't get angry with you guys is because of everything I just mentioned. It's almost impossible to avoid. It's almost impossible to avoid. And forget that for a moment. Let's say you switch off social media for argument's sake, and let's say you've put on corn blockers. I was walking earlier out on the street and I passed a bus stop and there was an advert on the bus stop and it literally had 2 women in bikinis and it was like an advert for a designer company. And I'm thinking, what is going on here? Even if you turn your phone off, you're screwed. It's done by design, I promise you. It's been done by design. And that's why I have empathy. That's why I don't get angry when you're struggling and you're relapsing. But if you get to the other side, I promise you, you'll reach the pot of gold. Because it's very difficult. It's very difficult. I honestly empathize. It's not easy. So hopefully you understand the message. Hopefully you've taken value from this. Hopefully you're on the right path. Again, as I said, the questions at the beginning. If you have answers to that or you have opinions on that, leave me your thoughts and opinions. Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Consider subscribing, smash the notification bell, follow me on Instagram, and I'll see all of you guys for my next video. Peace.